Sometimes it's fun to look at the nonfiction books at the library. This is a nonfiction book about Halloween. It's by Amy Margaret. And one of the fun things about nonfiction books, if you don't read them too much, is they oftentimes have a table of contents. So you don't always have to read the whole thing. And one of my other favorite things about nonfiction books is there's often an index at the back. So if you're just looking for information about one thing, like let's say you just wanted to find out about a jack-o'-lantern, you could go to the back, find it under J, and know that you just need to turn to page 13. So you don't have to read them cover to cover, but sometimes they're fun and sometimes you can. So here's a book about Halloween. Halloween fun. Halloween is a fun holiday. It is a time to enjoy the sweets you collect trick-or-treating. You can also dress up in a funny or scary costume. You can carve a pumpkin with a parent's help and can hang fake cobwebs from doorways. You can make a ghost out of a bedsheet. Halloween is also a time for parties. You can tell ghost stories and play games. Many of the traditions and symbols of Halloween come from other holidays celebrated thousands of years ago. This is a house that's been decorated for Halloween. Maybe you have some of those in your neighborhood. Halloween's beginnings. The earliest holiday connected with Halloween is the Celtic festival of Samhain. The Celtic New Year. The Celts lived in northern Europe in the 1st century BC. The Celts believed in many gods, including the Lord of the Dead. The Celts believed that he ruled for 6 months of each year, starting on October 31st, the date we now celebrate Halloween. The Celts welcomed it with a 3-day party. They wore costumes and searched for ghosts. Now, this picture is of a ceremony, a Druid ceremony that they've been celebrating for over 700 years. And they're at one of the stone circles. The name Halloween. On November 1st in the year AD 83, the Catholic Church gave new meaning to Samhain holiday. They began celebrating All Saints' Day, a holiday where they honor the Catholic saints. All Saints' Day is also called All Hallows' Day or Hallow Mass. Hallow means spirit in Old English. Halloween means Hallows' Eve. On the night before All Hallows' Day, October 31st was called All Hallows' Eve, then Halloween, and then we made it Halloween with the spelling they took an apostrophe out. If you look there used to be an apostrophe and they put in the W. Sometimes they use gravestones to decorate for All Saints' Day. Halloween ghosts. Ghosts have always been an important part of Halloween. It started with the Celts who lit fires to guide friendly ghosts home and drive away scary ghosts. Later, the Christians celebrated their own holiday to pray for the ghosts of their dead friends or relatives. This day, November 2nd, was called All Souls' Day. Latin Americans call this holiday the Day of the Dead. In America, ghosts as a Halloween symbol came first from the Celts and later from the Christians. Today, kids dress up as ghosts. On All Saints' Day, people celebrate family members who died. So that's a picture of one of those ceremonies. The jack-o'-lantern. This is the page 13 I told you about from the back. A jack-o'-lantern is one of the most famous symbols of Halloween. Irish and Scottish people first used turnips as jack-o'-lanterns on Halloween. They believed the scary faces they carved would scare away evil spirits. No one knows for sure how the jack-o'-lantern got its name. One story says that a man named Jack played tricks on the devil. When Jack died, the devil made him walk the earth with only a piece of glowing coal to find his way. Jack carried the coal in a hollow turnip. So when the Irish and Scottish people came to America in the 1800s, they began using pumpkins for jack-o'-lanterns instead of turnips. Trick or treat. Today, many children in America go trick-or-treating on Halloween and shout trick or treat. This phrase, first used in the United States in the 1930s, means, give me a treat or I'll play a trick on you. The idea of going trick-or-treating probably began in England. On All Souls' Day, children went from house to house and asked for soul cakes, which were buns filled with raisins. If the children were not given food, they would pull a prank on that house. If they received cakes, they promised to pray for the household's dead relatives. So here's a group of trick-or-treaters. The world of witches. The Celts were among the first to believe in witches. A witch is someone who follows the Wiccan faith. In Old English, Wicca meant wise one. Witches used herbs and plants to heal illness. Many people thought witches had magical powers. Over time, some people thought that witchcraft was evil instead of magical. Halloween witches became symbols of the evil spirits that some people believe wander the earth. People who practice the Wiccan faith, though, are different from Halloween witches. When witches met on October 31st, today's Halloween, they would perform marriages and bring new witches into their group. The Black Cat. In ancient Egypt, people believed that cats had magical powers. A mythical goddess named Hecate ruled over witches in ancient Greece and Rome. Hecate had a cat that helped her rule. Some people believe that witches have animals called familiars that assist them. The familiars have spirits living inside them. The most common familiar is the cat. A witch with her black cat is one of the most famous symbols of Halloween. Witches' cats were black. Some people thought because the cats were evil and their spirits were the color of the night. Halloween creatures. The owl is another animal linked with Halloween. In the 1500s, people believed that owls were wicked. When the owl screeched, it was supposed to mean that someone had died. Another creature connected with Halloween is the bat. People associate bats with the vampire, a mythical monster that some believe drinks human blood. There is a bat called the vampire bat. It probably has that name because it gets its blood from its food by drinking the blood of other animals. So owls and vampire bats may look scary, but they're not dangerous. Play parties. The first American Halloween parties were called play parties. In the early 1800s, Americans celebrated fall with play parties. People played games such as bobbing for apples. Nuts were sometimes put into a small fire to tell the future. This is why some people call Halloween Nutcrack Night. Late into the night, at play parties, people gathered to tell ghost stories. Today, games and ghost stories are two lessons why Halloween remains one of the most popular holidays. And then there is a glossary right before that index I showed you before, and it tells you how to say some of the words. And it looks like when I was saying the Celtic festival and I was calling it Samhain, because that's how it looked to me, it's actually supposed to be Samhain. So I was pronouncing it wrong. I should have looked at the glossary before I read the book. But that's a little bit of nonfiction, and you can find lots of nonfiction books at your library if there's something you want to learn more about.